So at this point, I wanted to get into a little bit of just basic architecture discussion. And that is to say, let's examine the benefits and the drawbacks of using inheritance, of using subclasses. Okay? So what are the benefits? Well, we've touched on some of these already. The first thing that's obvious is code reuse, right? You get to write one piece of code that can potentially then be used in multiple classes. And so the benefits of that are multiple. If you change the code in that one place, it gets changed in all the rest automatically for you. Much easier to maintain and is therefore much more reliable. Also, subclassing allows you to hide complexity of what type an object is really. As we've seen in our code example, you can have one area that, say, loads up or populates an array full of various mixed types, all of it parent type. And then other parts of the code can treat those objects either specifically or generically, meaning you can treat them as rectangles, circles, and squares, or you can treat them as just shapes. And so this flexibility allows you to hide a lot of complexity inside your code. A third benefit is that other people can then add on to this class hierarchy and again reuse code and also slot into the architecture you've created and get functionality that kind of just works. So imagine if we added a fourth class called triangle or something. Well, all you'd have to do is add in the maybe make your own calculate area function, but then at that point it would slot right in, and so whatever database you use to populate the array we've been talking about, subsequent code downstream would then be able to realize that that's actually a triangle and run triangle-based code without having added any of your code to that part of the function. So that is part of the power of using subclassing. Now, the downsides, the biggest one is that the code can then become tightly coupled. And that means that the changes in the base class can affect all the child classes. While generally, when you have such a small hierarchy, it doesn't really matter. If you start to build large hierarchies full of multiple levels of parents, then it can become a big problem. So the takeaway of this is that until you get to be very advanced, you generally want to prefer a very flat inheritance hierarchy. It's okay if they're wide, meaning that there's a lot of classes within a given level, but you don't want to have a lot of levels, okay? And so we'll see that there are actually other ways of getting some of the benefits of inheritance, like code reuse, without such super tight coupling that you get as a byproduct of inheritance.